In the heart of a humble neighborhood lived a beautiful mad woman named Area Lady. Her long, flowing hair and striking curves turned heads wherever she went. Despite the state of her mind, Area Lady's beauty always shone through, and her presence was impossible to ignore. She lived not far from her family home but spent most of her days sitting by the roadside, eating whatever she could find and dancing to music only she could hear. No one knew what had driven her to madness, but over time, the neighborhood grew used to her antics. She became part of the scenery, a familiar and tragic figure everyone accepted but few understood. One day, as a young man named Baiko was walking past her usual spot, he noticed Area Lady crying and begging for food. Baiko, known throughout the neighborhood for his kindness and warm smile, lived with his parents in a small bungalow. Without thinking twice, he stopped and handed her the soft loaf of bread he had just bought. Her eyes lit up, and she devoured the bread hungrily. Baiko smiled gently and continued home. But when he arrived, his parents immediately asked about the bread they had sent him to buy. When Baiko explained what had happened, they frowned in disapproval, warning him not to waste their hard-earned money on mad people. Still, Baiko didn't listen. Every time he saw Area Lady, he shared what little he had with her. And slowly, an odd but genuine friendship blossomed between them. Whenever she saw him coming down the street, Area Lady would jump up, waving and calling his name with a joy that couldn't be faked. Baiko would always wave back and hand her something, bread, fruits, or even just a warm greeting. The neighbors whispered and gossiped, calling him a fool for befriending her. But Baiko didn't care. Months went by, and soon it became obvious, Area Lady's stomach was growing. The whispers turned into loud conversations. Fingers pointed. "She's pregnant," they said. And, inevitably, they began accusing Baiko. Baiko was heartbroken. He tried to explain to his parents that he wasn't responsible, but doubt crept into their eyes. It hurt even more when Area Lady, whenever asked about the pregnancy, would smile sweetly and say Baiko's name. The news reached her family. Furious and embarrassed, they stormed to Baiko's house, demanding he take responsibility and marry her. Baiko's parents were horrified. Baiko himself was confused and overwhelmed. He didn't know what to believe anymore. Day after day, the pressure mounted. His good name, once the pride of the neighborhood, was dragged through the mud. Desperate for answers, Baiko decided to speak to Area Lady directly. He found her, as always, sitting by the roadside, humming to herself. Sitting beside her, he asked gently, "Area Lady, why do you keep saying I'm the father of your child?" She turned to him with a smile so pure it broke his heart and said, "Because you are my friend, Baiko. I love you." At that moment, everything made sense. She wasn't accusing him. She wasn't lying. In her broken, beautiful mind, friendship and love were intertwined. She said his name not because of the pregnancy, but because he had shown her kindness when no one else would. Baiko decided then and there that he wouldn't abandon her, not out of guilt, but out of love. Not romantic love, but the rare, precious kind that sees a soul, not its flaws. Still, the mystery gnawed at him. Late at night, he found himself sneaking around Area Lady's small wooden hut, hiding in the shadows, hoping to discover the truth. The nights were eerily quiet, broken only by the hoot of owls and the distant bark of stray dogs. Then, one night, Baiko's patience was rewarded. He saw a figure moving stealthily toward the hut. Peering through the darkness, Baiko's eyes widened in shock. It was Alhaji Montoro, the respected philanthropist known for his wealth, generosity, and spotless reputation. Baiko watched in disbelief as Alhaji slipped inside Area Lady's hut. His heart pounded in his chest. What was a man like Alhaji Montoro doing there, in the dead of night, with a mad woman everyone else had forgotten? And just like that, Baiko realized the truth was far messier and far darker than the rumors ever let on. Could he really be the father of Area Lady's child? Baiko wondered, his mind racing with questions. His heart pounded as he quickly pulled out his smartphone from his pocket, waiting silently, trying not to make a sound. About 40 minutes later, Alhaji stepped out of the hut, sweating and smiling. Biko's heart skipped a beat. He raised his phone and quickly snapped pictures of Alhaji, hoping this evidence would finally clear his name of all the accusations and gossip. A wave of relief washed over him as he captured the images, thinking this would put an end to all the speculation about his involvement with Area Lady. But Biko's relief was short-lived. The flash from his phone caught Alhaji's attention. Alhaji quickly looked around, his expression turning from calm to furious in an instant. Without wasting time, he jumped into his car, parked close to the bush, and began making calls. Before Biko could escape, several black men appeared out of nowhere. They grabbed him, snatched his phone, and started beating him mercilessly. Biko tried to defend himself, but he was no match for their strength. They beat him until he fainted, his body limp and lifeless. The men dragged Biko's unconscious body and stuffed him into the trunk of their car. They sped off into the night, leaving behind only fear and mystery. Biko's phone lay broken on the ground, his evidence lost forever. The next morning, Biko's parents woke up to an empty room. They wondered where their son had slept and why he hadn't returned home. They tried calling his phone, but it was switched off. As the hours turned into days, their worry deepened into panic. They rushed to the local police station to report Biko's disappearance. The officers listened, their faces skeptical. "Isn't he the same boy who impregnated that mad woman?" one of them asked, raising an eyebrow. "Maybe he ran away because of shame," another officer added, his tone dripping with doubt. Biko's mother cried bitterly, pleading with them to help find her son. She explained that Biko was a good boy, kind, gentle, and would never just disappear without reason. The police promised to try, but their words felt hollow and insincere. As days turned into weeks, the neighborhood buzzed with gossip and speculation about Biko's disappearance. "He ran away because of shame," some whispered. "He's a useless boy, impregnating Area Lady and then running away," others said, their voices laced with cruelty. But none of them knew the truth. Biko was captive, tied up in a small, stinking room inside Alhaji's house. The room was damp and dark, with no windows to let in any sunlight. His body ached from the beating, and his spirit was crushed. Alhaji would visit him occasionally, sneering and taunting him about the photos he had taken. "You think you can expose me?" Alhaji would scoff. "You think you can ruin my reputation?" Obi would plead for mercy, but Alhaji's face stayed cold and unyielding. It became clear to Biko that Alhaji was hiding something much bigger, something dangerous. And Biko was determined to uncover the truth. Days passed. Biko's determination hardened into steel. He knew he had to escape and expose Alhaji, but how? He was trapped, with no obvious way out. Often, his thoughts drifted to Area Lady and the baby. Was the child truly Alhaji's? What would happen to them if Obi never made it out alive? He vowed silently that he would find a way, for Area Lady, for the baby, for himself. But for now, Biko remained captive, waiting for his chance to break free. As the weeks dragged on, Biko's hope began to fade. He was fed meager rations, barely enough to survive. His body weakened. Alhaji's visits grew more frequent, his taunts more cruel. One day, Biko heard voices outside his prison. Alhaji was arguing with one of his associates. "We can't keep him here forever," the associate said, clearly nervous. "What if he talks?" "He won't talk," Alhaji replied dismissively. "He's just a foolish boy who got in over his head." Biko listened carefully, his heart pounding. If they were debating what to do with him, his time might be running out. He had to find a way to escape. Somehow. Meanwhile, Biko's parents hadn't stopped searching. They visited the police station again and again, but the officers remained indifferent. They asked around the neighborhood too, but nobody seemed to know anything. Biko's mother was heartbroken. Night after night, she cried herself to sleep, imagining the worst. Obi's father tried to stay strong for her sake, but he too was slowly losing hope. They knew their son, he was a good boy, and it made no sense that he would simply vanish. As the weeks turned into months, hope dwindled. Their once lively home grew silent and heavy with sorrow. Yet Biko's mother refused to give up. She returned to the police station often, begging, pleading for them to do more. Then, one day, her phone rang. An unknown number flashed on the screen. "Do you want to see your son again?" a chilling voice asked. Biko's mother's heart froze. "Yes, please," she cried, her voice trembling. "Tell me where my son is." The caller laughed coldly. "You'll never see him again," the voice sneered. "He's in a place where he'll never be found." Biko's mother's world came crashing down. She collapsed to the ground, crying uncontrollably. Biko's father tried to comfort her, but he too was devastated. As the months dragged on, their lives were filled with sadness and despair. They had lost their son, and they didn't know if they would ever see him again. But Biko was still alive. He hadn't given up. He was determined to escape and expose Alhaji's secrets. He waited patiently for the perfect moment to make his move. One day, Alhaji came to see him, bringing one of his associates along. Biko knew this was his chance. He pretended to be weak, barely able to move, waiting for Alhaji to come closer. As Alhaji leaned in, Biko sprang into action. He grabbed the associate and held him tightly, using him as a shield. Alhaji stumbled backward, caught off guard. Biko didn't hesitate, he shoved the associate aside and bolted for the door. He fumbled with the lock but managed to wrench it open. Slamming it shut behind him, Biko found himself in a long corridor. His heart pounded as he sprinted down it, hearing Alhaji and his associate shouting behind him. Finally, Biko reached the main door. He threw it open and burst into the bright sunlight, gasping for air. Disoriented, he looked around, and then he saw it, a taxi parked nearby. He ran toward it, jumped in, and shouted at the driver to take him to the police station. As the taxi sped away, Biko looked back and saw Alhaji and his men chasing after them. But they were too late. Biko was free. Relief and joy flooded through him. He had escaped. Now he could expose Alhaji's secrets. He would clear his name. He would bring Alhaji to justice. But as he stared out the window, Biko's thoughts drifted to Area Lady and the baby. Were they safe? What had happened to them? He clenched his fist. He had to protect them too. As the taxi approached the police station, a surge of hope filled him. Justice was finally within reach, and maybe, just maybe, he'd be reunited with his parents. When Biko arrived at the station, familiar faces greeted him. He poured everything out, from his suspicions about Alhaji to how he had escaped. The officers listened closely, their faces growing more serious with each word. One of them, a stern-looking man with a thick beard, nodded thoughtfully. "We'll need to investigate further, Biko," he said. "But it sounds like we have a serious case on our hands." Biko nodded, feeling relief wash over him. At last, someone was taking him seriously. The officers questioned him for what felt like hours, digging into every detail. Biko answered as best as he could, his mind still drifting back to Area Lady and the baby. One of the officers must have sensed his worry. "Don't worry, Biko," he said gently. "We'll look into her situation and make sure she's safe." Biko nodded, gratitude swelling inside him. Finally, the questioning ended. They assured him they would do everything in their power to bring Alhaji to justice and protect Area Lady and her child. Stepping out of the station, Biko felt lighter. There was still a long road ahead, but now he wasn't walking it alone. But danger still lurked. Across the street, Baiko noticed a man watching him, one of Al-Hajji's associates. His posture was stiff, his eyes cold and menacing. Baiko's instinct screamed at him to run. But he stood his ground. He had the police behind him now. He wouldn't be intimidated. The associate crossed the street and stopped just a few feet away, sneering. "You think you've won, don't you?" he said. "But you haven't. Al-Hajji always comes out on top." Baiko straightened his back. "I'm not afraid of you or Al-Hajji," he said firmly. "Justice will be served." The man gave a mocking nod. "We'll see about that," he muttered, before turning and walking away. Baiko watched him disappear into the crowd, a knot of unease tightening in his stomach. This wasn't over. Not yet. As he hurried home, Baiko kept glancing over his shoulder, the feeling of being watched gnawing at him. No one was there, but he couldn't shake the fear. He quickened his pace, heart hammering against his ribs. He had to be careful. He thought of his parents and wondered how they were holding up. He prayed they weren't too worried about him. When he finally reached his street, he saw the house, and then, his mother's familiar smile and his father's warm, welcoming eyes. Tears blurred his vision as they opened their arms to him. He was home. Tears of joy streamed down their faces as his mother cried out, "Our son is home." She pulled Baiko into a tight embrace, holding him as if she would never let go. His father patted him on the back, his voice thick with emotion. "We are so sorry, Baiko," he said. "We didn't believe you. We should have listened." Baiko's own eyes filled with tears as he shared everything about Al-Hajji, area lady, and the baby. His parents listened silently, shock and regret written all over their faces. As the evening wore on, emotions ran high. They apologized over and over, and Baiko, heart full of forgiveness, assured them he bore no grudge. He was just grateful to be home. That night, while they all slept peacefully, unaware of the lurking danger outside, Al-Hajji's boys crept up to the house. They doused the perimeter with gasoline and set it on fire. Flames rose quickly, engulfing the house, devouring everything in their path. Baiko's parents screamed, trapped inside. Baiko tried to find a way out, but it was too late. The neighborhood awoke to the piercing sounds of screams and sirens. People rushed toward the inferno, horrified at the sight. The fire department arrived, but there was little they could do. By morning, the house was nothing but ashes. No one could find Baiko's body, it had been lost in the fire. Al-Hajji's boys melted into the night, their faces hidden behind cruel masks. The entire community was in shock. They mourned deeply, demanding justice for Baiko and his family. But justice remained out of reach. Al-Hajji's influence was too powerful, his grip stretched too far. Despite the outrage, he was never arrested. It was as if he had vanished into thin air, leaving only sorrow and devastation behind. In the midst of the community's mourning, a powerful man of God arrived. He spoke of repentance, redemption, and exposing hidden evils. His words stirred something in the people, a flicker of hope. One day, area lady, heavily pregnant and still known for her madness, wandered into one of his gatherings. The man of God touched her forehead, and instantly she collapsed to the ground. When she woke up, the madness was gone. She was free. Delivered. Her first word was Baiko. The people gasped, remembering the young man who had died so tragically. The man of God handed her a microphone, and with tears streaming down her face, Mary, for that was her real name, told her story. She spoke of how she had fallen into a reckless lifestyle, entangled with Al-Hajji. He had lavished her with gifts and money, but one day he gave her something to drink. After that, she lost her senses, her mind no longer her own. Still, Al-Hajji kept coming back, and eventually, he left her pregnant. The crowd stood stunned, silent. The man of God urged them to be prayerful, to live righteously, and to be vigilant. The people thanked him and quietly dispersed. Mary, now free and restored, returned to her family home. A few days later, she gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Her family rejoiced, and the whole neighborhood came together to celebrate, bringing gifts and food. In a gesture of love and remembrance, they named the child after the late Biko. Mary vowed to live differently, dedicating her life to helping young girls make better choices, warning them against the reckless path she once walked. As for Al-Haji, he was never seen or heard from again. But the trail of pain he left behind remained, a grim reminder, a cautionary tale for all. As we reflect on this story, let's remember, the company we keep matters. The people we surround ourselves with can either lift us up or drag us down. Choose relationships rooted in positivity, respect, and trust. Because tragedy reminds us that disbelief and wrong associations can have devastating consequences. Mary's journey shows how a wayward life can lead to destruction, but also that redemption is possible. Let's be wise. Let's choose purpose, dignity, and self-respect. Let's build lives filled with meaningful relationships, integrity, and hope. If you were touched by this story, please like and share it with your friends and loved ones. Leave your thoughts in the comment section, we would love to hear from you. Thank you for being part of this journey. We look forward to sharing more stories with you. Bye for now.